His Excellency, the President of Azerbaijan, İlham Aliyev, joining us here on center stage. Dr. Emmanuel Kaçaku, the Minister of State for Petroleum for Nigeria, and the exiting rotating president of OPEC as well. A familiar face to the Emerging Markets Roundtable for CNN and back on energy, his specialty, Professor Lin Bojiang, the Dean of the Institute for Studies in Energy Policy at Xiamen. Are you willing to cooperate?
Well,
I mean, realistically, you're producing about 800,000 barrels a day, a non-OPEC member. Have you ever reached out to OPEC and said, look, I'm suffering a lot in Azerbaijan. We need to do something about it?
We are ready to do it. And actually, that was part of our discussions with some of the OPEC members. We are not a big producer. But I think that if we have more coordination between OPEC members and large non-OPEC members with respect to the reduction of production, then maybe we can have result. Because unfortunately, after every OPEC meeting, the price of oil goes down. Therefore, we are very concerned about the possible new meeting which we are planning. So maybe better not to have it. And, but
that's how much confidence you have in OPEC these days.
But this is
and that's the rotating president who just left his job. That doesn't say too much.
This is the real situation. Therefore, of course, I think, but the coordination between large non-OPEC and OPEC agreeing to reduce price and increase the level of mutual trust. Because if it doesn't happen, I think that OPEC itself would not make this decision. And without this decision, we'll have this situation and just wait when the oil price will reach its bottom. Every day we think this is a bottom, and then, you know, we see a new price for oil. And frankly speaking, this is already a little bit exhausting, also from psychological point of view, not to mention, you know, the countries need to balance the budget, to have funds for investment, and not only into oil and gas. And the difference between companies and countries is exactly this difference. We need to invest in social infrastructure, we need to invest in industrial infrastructure, and at the same time, to maintain the level of production, we need to invest in oil and gas. So this situation, of course, is not very pleasant, but at the same time, for Azerbaijan, it is a good time for reforms. And we started fundamental reforms of our financial sector, economic reforms, export-oriented non-oil economy production, and to forget about oil factor. As I said before, we were trying to prepare ourselves for this period, maybe in 15, 20, 25 years from now, but now we have to do it now, and I think that we'll cope with the situation. Again, economic situation in Azerbaijan is stable. Our foreign debt is only 12% of GDP, and our foreign currency reserves are almost the same level as our GDP. Therefore, I'm sure we will manage the crisis, but of course, we want to have predictable future in order to plan our budget for the next year.
Good. You've had about a 70% devaluation of your currency.
Yeah.
It's been a very painful process, and you even had some protests in Azerbaijan as well. So this is social dislocation with that sort of correction in the last year, all caused by a plummet in oil prices.
Yeah, of course, there were several factors. First of all, of course, the decline of oil price, and our national currency during the last 10 years gained weight against dollar, which was, I think, a little bit artificial. One manat was $1.3. Therefore, first devaluation was to bring manat back to 1-to-1, and the second devaluation was mainly because of devaluation of national currencies in the neighborhood. And our goods became not competitive. And it was an additional burden on our budget. Therefore, it was inevitable. We tried to resist as long as we could. We lost some funds of our national bank reserves, but we had to take this measure. There were, of course, some concerns about that because it immediately reflected in the rise of consumer prices, which we import, and we're still at some goods import-dependent country. Therefore, increase of the price created certain concern. It was a minor protest based on some, you know, stress situation. People were not prepared for that. But now it's over, and I think that economic development in Azerbaijan will be sustainable. We had the fastest growing economy in the world, I think one of the fastest, 300% growth in the last 10 years. So it was too much, I think. And now it's a time that the cycles go down, and with the current situation, with the currency reserves, I think we'll manage the situation.
Good. You're not going to turn back in the next quarter or not?
Yeah, I think so. I think that we're very close, maybe $2-3 more to drop. And then in the second half of the year, the market will grow, because we all know that it is a cyclic, system. And there was a time, I remember, when we launched our major oil development project in 1994, the price was $12, and it seemed to be very normal. And when we were planning the development, I remember we thought about optimistic scenario, which was $22. So now we are very close to that optimistic scenario 20 years ago. So I hope that the market will stabilize, because oil sector needs investments. And last year we had the highest percentage of drop of investments in the oil sector. So without that, definitely the price will go up and will stabilize. I hope. I also don't want to give any prognosis, but I think for companies, for investors, for governments, $60, $70 per barrel will be excellent price, and I hope to see that sooner than later.
But by 2017, you think?
I think so, yeah, I think so, 2017. This year, the second half of the year, I think will be the period of stabilization, and hopefully we can see the growth.
Okay. Nice round of applause for the panel. I really appreciate all your input today. Thanks.